भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्योगकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणीश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनध्यासितं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदिविषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतव पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। Namo Ramana. In this Tuesday Satsang from Ramanacentre Center for Learning, Bangalore, we have been meditating on reminiscences by Mahakrishna Swami from the book Years in the Presence of Ramanamai Master. It is Mahakrishna Swami's reminiscences of his stay in Ramanashramam and on Bhagavan, which has been beautifully brought out in this book, written by our founder president Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have been pondering on the second chapter, which is like a question answer session, where Bhagavan has been asked many questions, or Mahakrishna Swami has gathered many of the questions related to happiness, and more so on the natural happiness. So here, continuing on that question answer series, after looking at today's question answer and meditating on it, we will have a practice of self-enquiry for 20 minutes. Following that, our President Sarada would be contemplating on Ramana Gita, the 18th chapter, which is Ganapati Muni's recording of Bhagavan's teaching to various devotees in the form of Sanskrit verses. And finally, we will have the concluding prayers to Bhagavan. The questioner is asking, why do I feel unhappy in my house, but feel happy in your presence here? To which Bhagavan replied, who affirms he is not happy is the profane ego. Who affirms he is not happy is the profane ego, of which all must become free to them become conscious of the perfect happiness. The desire of obtaining happiness is the best proof that this is an inherent virtue of the self. If the headache was natural to man, he would not try to be free of it. It is the contrary that happens, because man knew moments where there was no headache, and he knows that such moments exist. There is no way to acquire or conquer what is natural, because it already is present. When you become conscious of your real nature without effort, in a permanent and happy manner, you will verify that this does not contradict with normal activities of the daily life. A person having reached the natural state of meditation has the possibility of either living completely isolated from the world or living freely among men without his peace or his happiness being altered, because this is his true nature. Very beautiful question answer. And recently I had been to Tiruvannamalai, and we can always feel, the mind experiences such peace and happiness in the Sannidhi of Bhagavan and Arunachala there. So the natural question comes when we return back to the not so pious places which we may feel, why do we become very unhappy? And Bhagavan here is beautifully answering that who feels this happiness or unhappiness? It is the ego. And when we get rid of that ego, when we become free of it, that means, when I was being there, one of my colleagues had also joined me this time. And in one of the evenings, I was having a conversation with him. And I said, look how the mind behaves here to how it behaves in Bangalore or in our house. There, we were cooking our own breakfast. We had to cook our own lunch. Then we were busy from morning till evening getting some repair work done. Had to fetch few material, and it was quite warm compared to Bangalore. And despite all of it, there was a sense of no commentary by the mind on what was happening. No, if we were in Bangalore, anything we had to cook for, even for a breakfast or something, the mind would have probably thrown multiple choices or would have thrown reasons why we can go out and eat something, or it would have passed a comment about a person appearing for work or not appearing for a work. It would find reasons to pass a commentary on everything that is happening. And I told him that I said, if we observe ourselves, we have not watched much of the mobile. We are not even concerned that we need to reach our mobiles except when the phone rings. And we are not bothered. There is no TV, no entertainment. And we are not carrying any book. We are not reading anything. It's not that we are also sitting there and meditating. We have been busy, getting up, cooking, and then doing things. But somehow, in this Sannidhi, there is peace, there is happiness, and there is nothing being looked out for. A change is being sorted out, which may happen in the city life. He acknowledged that. So in a way, when we are associated with the ego, and Bhagavan says one of the qualities of the ego is to constantly look out for something new, something objective, and keep jumping from one object to, it holds on to an object only to let go it and hold on to another one. So in a way, Bhagavan is saying that when we are associated with the ego, when we are indulged with its ways and methods, the natural happiness seems to be not present. We feel that it has disappeared. And at the same time, Bhagavan also brings it to our attention that we also feel something is missing. Some natural happiness, which was very innate of our nature, is missing. So we we are in a way not quite happy with the activities of the ego, which is jumping from object to object. Either we want to take a break, we want to just relax, listen to some music, or just meditate or do something. So in a way, Bhagavan is saying, because our nature is that of being free from all of these commentaries and reasons and everything, when this reasoning and commentary keeps happening from our mind, somehow we feel that we have moved away from our natural state, and we try to get back to it in a way that if the headache is natural to us, we wouldn't have tried to got rid of it, because headache is not natural, it's not normal of the body. When we have the headache, we try to take some medicines to get rid of it. In a similar way, Bhagavan is saying that in the nature of ours, what is not natural, there is somewhere a sense of it, that it is not natural. And there is also a sense of what is so natural, because without the experience of the natural, we would not know what is not natural. So Bhagavan is also pointing that there is an innate way of recognizing what is natural and also what is not so natural. That means all of us, whether we are in the sadhana or not in the sadhana, have experienced our nature, our natural state, have experienced. We might have not recognized it fully, clearly, or consciously recognized this is my true nature. But there is moments where we have experienced ourselves in fullness. So we know when mind and activities of the mind go on, we know that that is not natural. So that is the most important recognition that we need to attend to. And I think Bhagavan, by putting the question, to whom is this, who am I, makes us get back to that natural experience, or consciously get back to it, consciously look for it. And when we consciously look for it, because it is the awareness looking for its own natural state, it slowly and surely starts to recognize that there is no need for it to hold on to thoughts or objects or anything. In fact, it can survive, very well survive, free of all of it. All of this me and mine is not required at all for it. And the consciousness recognizes that it can remain forever free of it, and all the qualities of me and mine and all other things associated with it, in fact, was only the impedance in recognizing one's own true nature. And therefore, one finds it easy to let go all of that. And that is the beauty of self-enquiry. Self-enquiry consciously makes us recognize our true nature and also makes us become free and fearless to let go all of me and mine. So much so, one of my colleagues was saying that we first let go of our family, then we let go of the body, then we let go of the mind, then we can even let go of the breath. So it becomes so easy to recognize that we are not dependent on anything. The innate nature of ours, here and now, is free, bereft of everything. It is the transcendental truth. And it is so natural. And there is no need for us to acquire it or conquer it by any way. It is given to all of us, and that is what we verily are. This is this recognition makes us become free of all the paraphernalias that we were thinking were required by us. So Bhagavan is going on to say, when you become conscious of your real nature without effort, in a permanent and happy manner, that is when the recognition of what we are is so clear, vivid, and the identification of ourselves with that truth is so natural and permanent, Bhagavan is saying, then we recognize all the activities of the normal thing of the daily life, be that of the mind, be that of the intellect, or of the ego, or of the body. We recognize that it doesn't really affect us. It's like as we normally look at it, it's like the sun shining, the light of the self is shining, and in its light, all the activities of the body, mind, intellect, ego, all of it are happening, and all of that happening really doesn't impact in any bit the natural state of oneself. Then Bhagavan goes on to say what happens is that either that person recognizes that all of this, what he was trying to associate, all the objects, whether it is subtle objects of the mind and intellect, or the gross objects through the body and the world, none of it really adds anything to him, nor takes away anything from him. And there is no need to indulge with them anymore. Either he will go back isolated from the world, or Bhagavan says, he recognizes even if he is indulged with all of this, there is no change in his natural state. And somewhere here we can say the Indian people relate this to Vishnu and Shiva. Shiva is somebody who sits aloof in the mountain meditating, and Vishnu is busy in the activities of the world, maintaining everything, so-called, indulged with the material thing. But both of them within themselves have very clearly recognized that the presence or the absence of the objects or the activities of all these objects, whether gross or subtle, in no way affects the inner happiness or the truth of oneself or the peace of oneself. This recognition of the true nature is what is Bhagavan bringing us to or takes us to through self-enquiry. So whenever the mind rises, initially we are habituated by taking ourselves to this body, which is the consciousness tied up to this grossly body, which is the Chit Jada Granthi. Then we are bound to get carried away by the activities of the body, whether it is mental, intellectual, or the senses. But slowly and steadily, whenever we move out towards the activities of the body, mind, Bhagavan gently puts this question, to whom is this? When we ask this question, to whom is this thought, the answer will naturally come that it is for me, not for somebody else. That recognition that I am the one who is observing the thought, or thought is appearing to me. There was a moment before which the thought was not there. Now the thought has appeared and I was attending to it, and this enquiry, to whom is this, who am I, has brought the attention back to me who was attending to the thought. And therefore the question then Bhagavan asks us to inquire, who am I? Who is this I? And when we put this question, what do I really refer to as I? and investigate, we find ourselves, there is no such entity like an I, but there is a clear recognition, an awareness, which was aware of the absence of the thought, the presence of the thought, the presence of the enquiry, the presence of the question, who am I? That was always there, that awareness, that existence, that I am was always there, recognizing all of it. So when we put the question, who am I? Instead of answering it, Bhagavan asks us to recognize and clearly identify, what do I refer to as I? And when we recognize ourselves to be that pure being consciousness, and that is what we are at all times, it is like the screen on which all thoughts, all things come and go, whether it is in the waking dream or in the deep sleep, where the absence of all objects, still that awareness and existence is there to see the absence of everything. So we recognize that this is what is really I am, the unaltered, ever-present, one continuous, pure existence, pure consciousness, which I cannot see it like any other objects, but I can experience it. Like the eye can experience itself, though it cannot see. Like that, I can experience my own existence, my own awareness of my existence, and they are inseparable, continuous presence, like the Ajyadhara, which Bhagavan says. And when we again and again get back to our real nature, there becomes a very clear recognition that happiness is our innate nature. So Bhagavan is asking us to you hold on to self-enquiry, to get back to our real nature here and now, and use every distractions, every object, every thought as an opportunity, not to get disturbed by it, but to use it as an opportunity to get back to the self. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us practice self-enquiry for the next 20 minutes. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana Akka. Over to you.
Namo Ramana. Frustrations to Ramana. Shining is the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, in this part of the satsang, we are meditating on the verses of Ramana Gita, a compilation by Ganapati Muni of answers by Bhagavan Ramana to questions of several seekers of truth. We are on the 18th chapter of Ramana Gita, which is called Siddha Mahimanu Kirtanam, or the glory of the Siddhas. And we have been meditating on verse up to the seventh and seventh verses. The sixth verse was the seventh verse goes like this. Adayam atmatanau vrade parusha chittamalam vishaya vrade rishimarosham apteta manoratham dhritamадам ghanachil lahari vashat. Adayam atmatanau kathina. He has kept a very, very difficult vow, we can say, for his body. He's unconcerned about his body in the observance of strict discipline. And Kathinam Vrate, says me, the Vrata, it is not an observance actually, but Bhagavan very naturally had several observances. So far as his body was concerned, he never touched money. After he threw away all his belongings, including the little money which he had in the iron tank when he was a boy of 16, he came at Arunachala. After that, he did not even touch money. Somebody asked him, Bhagavan, you accept fruits and vegetables? They are not vegetables, I mean food items. You accept food when it is offered to you, but how is it not accept money? Bhagavan said, money cannot be eaten. Let us look at the very, very, we can say, the really difficult vows that he kept for his body. Whatever was brought to him, he ate. And in the early days, when he was in Gurumurtam, so many varieties of things were brought that it was very difficult even to eat all that. Sometimes eating also becomes a punishment. And Parani Swami used to simply mix everything together and give him a mouthful from that. Then we find later in Virupaksha days, the devotees used to go for taking bhiksha, go down, they used to get some bhiksha, whatever was I think the network was lost in between. I hope you can hear me now. Whatever was obtained in the bhiksha, all would partake of equally. Sometimes there was no salt in the rice. a devotee asked Bhagavan, can we ask for salt when we ask for alms? And Bhagavan answered, oh, first it will be salt, then it will be later we will want sugar, jaggery, we would want to make sweet pudding. Where is the end to all this? One of Bhagavan's devotees, Kohan, he was staying near the ashram in Palakot, in one of the rooms, and he used to cook for himself. And on one day, he had, in those days, I believe cooking was not very easy. He had to cook in a sort of they had a cooker, rice cooker, but it was really very difficult, or maybe it was on a little stove. When what happened was that, shall I put off my video? I'm told by Dileep that there is a disturbance in the video. Or should I try and come with the... Okay. So that rice cooker was there, a difficult process of cooking was there. And Kohan, on that day, he used to cook some rice, he used to cook some dal along with it. And the dal had got burnt. And Kohan says he was feeling rather sad and sorry for himself. He was a bit lost in self-pity, and maybe some dal vegetables were there. And Bhagavan used to take a walk after his lunch. He used to walk through the across this Palakot, across the rooms of all these devotees where they were staying, and he paused that day. He would not normally pause in any of the devotees' rooms because he did not like to disturb anybody. He felt their routine would get disturbed. In fact, Chadwick says that one day he kept a chair for Bhagavan to sit in case Bhagavan comes. And then Bhagavan stopped coming to his room for several days, saying, I did not want to disturb you. Then Chadwick says, so he allowed Bhagavan to peep in or stand and talk to him, and he would not even get up if Bhagavan came, so that Bhagavan did not feel that he was disturbing Chadwick or any of the other devotees. So that day, he peeped into Kohan's room and he asked him, what are you having for lunch? And Kohan said, I'm having rice and vegetables and dal. He didn't tell him that the dal had got burnt and he was feeling a little sad about it. So he said, I'm having rice and vegetables and dal. And Bhagavan said, oh, you're having all this. So wonderful. When we were in Virupaksha days, there would be rice sometimes, even that was less, and we would mix more water. But it was a healthy diet, says Bhagavan. Very healthy diet without even salt. And if there were more people, more water would be mixed so that they could all share the food equally. That is the kind of Kathina Vrata which Bhagavan undertook for his own body. And there was a time when Bhagavan was in Pachayaman Kovil, when his loincloth had got torn, his towel had got torn, but he did not ask anyone for an additional towel or loincloth. He was very shy as well. He did not want to give any attention to his bodily needs. And he says that towel, he used to roll it up into a small ball and keep it hidden somewhere, and so that the devotees did not see it, but he had to hang it out to dry. And some of the shepherd boys there started teasing him one day, seeing the condition of the towel, saying, Swami, this towel is needed by the governor of the state. He wants this towel, so we will take it to him. And Bhagavan said, no, this is my precious towel. How will I give this away? So Bhagavan would even joke about this. And his loincloth was torn. How to say that the loincloth was torn? He says he took a thread out of the loincloth itself and he made a needle out of a cactus thorn and he mended the loincloth and he wore it the other way around so that the mending would not be visible to people. Such is the Kathina Vrata that he underwent. Sometimes it seems as if it is he was sitting on rocks in the hard sun of Tiruvannamalai, the harsh sun of Tiruvannamalai. And later he was sitting in the old hall on the couch. But how many of us can sit on a couch from morning till night, day after day? Is it possible for us? Such is a Kathina Vrata. Even when he was sitting on the couch, he had to be available to the devotees all the time. So least concern for his body. Muni says, Katinam Vrata, very difficult discipline for his body. But he was a sage who was drunk in the joy of consciousness. And therefore, actually, Bhagavan would probably say, where is this body itself? The body is only in the mind, says Bhagavan in Ullada Narpad. And in Ekanva Panchakam, he says that though the body is in the self, the ignorant one says the self is in the body. So Muni says, Adhayamatmatanau Katinam Vrate Parushachitamalam Vishaya Vraje. He is totally away from any attention to objects of the world. Bhagavan says in Upadesha Saram, Drishyavaritam Chittam Atmanaha. Drishyavaritam Chittam. Turn it away from all Vishayas, from all objects. This is the example which Bhagavan showed to us. And then he says, Rishi Marosham Apeta Manoratham. He did not have anger or desire or any emotional disturbances or upheavals. In one of the versions, it says Rishi Marosham Akama Manoratham, or it says Apeta Manoratham, and Dhitamadam Ghana Chillahari Pashtat. Always in that, drunk in that bliss of consciousness. Vishwanatha Swami had his first darshan of Bhagavan when Bhagavan was in Skandashram. And he says, he could see that he was hardly living in the body or in the world. And he describes the experience of that bliss of even being in that presence of Bhagavan. He says one was drawn into that. He calls it the Ramana Lahari. And here the Muni says, Ghana Chil Lahari Vashat Amrita Dritamadam Ghana Chil Lahari Vashat. Vashat, he was absolutely in that, drowned in that Lahari of Atmananda, says Muni. And then he continues to say, Vigata Moham, Alobham, Avanam, Shamita Matsara, Mutsavinam Sada. And he has no lobha, no greed, no moha, no delusion, no abhavana, no wrong conceptions, no matsaram, no jealousy. And he is engaged Bhava Mahodadi Tarana Karmani. Why is he engaged in activities at all? Pratiplena Vinaiva Sadotyatam. Bhava Mahodadi Tarana Karmani. He is engaged in the activity of taking everyone across the great ocean of bhava, of samsara, of becoming something or the other. We are constantly wanting to become this or that, and he is taking us back into the bliss of being, which he is drunk, says Muni. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramata. Apara Satchit Sukavaridashe Yasyormimatram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ramanam Gabiram Chinta Vihiram Hrudi Chintayami Chinta Vihiram Hrudi Chintayami. Namo Ramana. Thank you all.
Namo Ramana.